Alright YouTube, how's it going? So I'm making this video to show what firing this CO2 rifle looks like, at least how accurate it is. I'm going to fire it at this here square foot target with a 1-inch bullseye there. I'm going to fire 5 shots from 10 meters away, which is about 30 feet, which is kind of an Olympic range shooting. I'm going to be shooting on half prone position on my knee with the rifle rested against a bench. Okay, and after I fire those 5 shots, I'll give some tips on how to load this magazine in such a way that you don't experience jamming, which is what I experienced the first time I shot it at the range, and then some notes on the scope here. Okay. And yes, I am firing indoors inside my property, putting my property at great risk, and banking on this thing to be accurate enough to not do any damage to things that I don't want to damage. Okay, so without further ado, let's go walk 10 meters away. Alright, so not too bad. We got, I'd say, about a 1-inch grouping there, yeah, with one kind of outlier, maybe a little over to the left, but all in all, looks pretty good. Let's take a closer look there. I think I could probably do better, but there you have it. Not disappointing. So what do I want to say about loading the magazine? Well, what I want to say is that the way to load the magazine and unload it in a clockwise fashion is clockwise, looking at the magazine such that you're looking at the front of the magazine that's facing forward, where the caliber .177 is shown right here. Yeah, you can't really see that. All right, and so clockwise means you make sure to find the end of the belt, which will be right there ready for you if you go through all 30 rounds, and then you unload it clockwise, so from the bottom on out. All right, that's how you unload it. So how to put these pellets in? Well, it's pretty straightforward. The way I do it is I put the head of the pellet in with one thumb, and then use the other thumb to kind of angle the head downward, and then I use the other thumb to push it down. Now, as long as the pellets are flush on the top here, you're good to go. But if you read the instructions from SIG, the magazine actually comes with a pellet seating tool, is what it's called, and it's a little kind of 2-inch, very thin metal rod that has a slim kind of pin at the end, and what it tells you to do is to stick that pin in here and press down until the fatter part of the metal rod is flush against the plastic, and doing that pushes the pellet down, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch, and that's called seating the pellet, and it pushes it down such that the head is almost breaching here at the other end of this belt here. Now, when I followed those directions and did that for every one of these pellets, I had a jam just about every other shot when I was firing this at the range, and that's no fun. So when I reloaded it, I decided to do what every other video I'd seen had done, and it's just load these such that they're flush and don't necessarily push them all down, and then there were 0 jams after that. Now maybe if you're using SIG's brand pellets, they're going to be, you know, in the ballistic alloy, maybe they're going to be just the right length, that they never breach, or, you know, whatever about the design of them doesn't cause jams even when you use the seating tool. And I'm not sure if maybe you get an increase in FPS by using the seating tool and having that pellet pressed past that first kind of line of plastic ribbing that's in there. I'm not sure. I have a chronograph, a cheap chronograph coming that I can use to kind of test some of these hypotheses. But so yeah, I don't recommend using the seating tool unless someone tells you exactly what brand of pellets works well with the seating tool. And maybe the ballistic alloys are a little stronger such that the seating tool is not actually causing minor deformation of the lead pellet. So there you go. And then to load it, of course, you want the head of the pellet facing forward, and then these plastic nubs that work with the feeding mechanism to be facing upwards. And then clockwise, meaning up towards the top of the magazine and over. Just keep feeding and feeding and feeding. And then there you go. And once you've done all 30, you know, the other tail of the magazine will be, of the magazine belt will be right here for you to pull out. Okay. And another note is the scope. So when I just used it here, it was pretty okay. However, at 10 meters and 4x zoom, which I have it on right now, in order to focus in at 10 meters, it actually blurs the crosshairs. Okay, so right here is where you focus it, and at 4x magnification, trying to focus in on something that's 10 meters away, it will actually blur the crosshairs in order to focus on that target. So that's a bit of a compromise, not great. Another thing is if you're focusing on a black target, those crosshairs, of course, are going to disappear, and I found that out pretty quickly when I was doing that initial target practice outside with a black target. Here I have a red bullseye, so the crosshairs don't disappear quite as much. But when your crosshairs are blurry and they're black on black, it's really easy to lose track of that. So I have on order a replica ACOG. We'll see if that does a little better. I expect it to. So yeah, I would definitely, if you're getting the black version of this gun, definitely go for the black scopeless version, because for the $70 increase in price for the red dot or the 4x zoom, you can do a lot better with 70 bucks. I bought that replica ACOG for 70 bucks, and I have a feeling it's going to be well worth it. All right, what else do I want to say about this scope? Yeah, so if you get the FDE color, and I definitely don't regret getting the FDE color, you're sort of stuck with the scope options. There's no naked version of the gun in the FDE. So if you are stuck with this scope, and it's not the worst scope in the world, I just want to clarify what the dials do. And for people who've already, intimately familiar with scopes, this is going to be no news to you. But for people like myself who are sort of just getting into this stuff, let me explain. So on the top dial here, which is your elevation, which adjusts the up and down orientation of your shot, it says up right here, and it says up, and it has an arrow which is facing in this direction. And so what that means is if you're aiming at the bullseye and your pellets are landing below the bullseye, what you want to do is move your pellets up, essentially, right? And so that's what up does here. So if you move in the direction of up, it's kind of, think of it as moving the impact of those pellets upwards, assuming that you keep the bullseye centered. You keep the crosshairs centered on the bullseye, okay? So similarly, if you look at the windage setting here, it says R for right, turn this way. So that means if your pellets are landing left of the bullseye, you want to turn this in the direction that says right. If your pellets are landing to the right of the bullseye, you want to turn in the opposite direction of right. You want to correct it so it's the bullets are landing more left. Okay, so super basics there, but I had to fire a couple shots to have that lesson sink in. All right, that's all for now, and hope you found this interesting. Bye-bye.